Do you know how to save a life in an emergency situation? That's a question we don't often ask ourselves, but it's one we should. One of the most crucial life-saving skills we can have at our disposal is the ability to perform cardiopulmonary resuscitation, more commonly known as CPR. CPR is a life-saving technique that's used in emergencies when someone's heartbeat or breathing has stopped. It combines chest compressions, often with artificial ventilation, in an effort to manually preserve intact brain function and maintain blood circulation. The importance of this skill can't be overstated. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people experience cardiac arrest, and being able to promptly and correctly perform CPR can significantly increase their chances of survival. It's a skill that's not just for healthcare professionals. It's for teachers, parents, friends, and good Samaritans. It's for everyone. Knowing how to perform CPR is a skill that can save lives. Today, you will learn how to perform it. Before we delve into CPR, it's crucial to understand the ABCs of first aid. You see, the ABCs aren't just the building blocks of the alphabet, they're the pillars of life-saving first aid. Let's start with A for airway. This is about ensuring that the person's airway is clear so they can breathe. It's the first thing you need to check when someone is unconscious. Next is B for breathing. Once you've made sure the airway is clear, you need to check if the person is breathing. If they are not, you'll have to provide rescue breaths. Finally, we have C for circulation. This refers to the person's blood circulation. If their heart isn't pumping blood effectively, you may need to perform chest compressions. Remember, these are the ABCs: airway, breathing, and circulation. Getting these right can make the difference between life and death. Now that you know the ABCs, you're ready to learn how to perform CPR. Scene script. Performing CPR involves several key steps that must be followed in order. The first step is to check for responsiveness. If someone appears unconscious, tap on their shoulder and ask loudly, "Are you okay?" If they don't respond, it's time to take action. Once you've determined the person is unresponsive, it's crucial to call for help immediately. Dial the emergency number, or if there's someone nearby, ask them to make the call while you start CPR. Time is of the essence in these situations. Next, you'll need to open the airway. Gently tilt the person's head back by lifting their chin. This helps to clear the pathway for air to reach the lungs, a vital step in the CPR process. Now it's time to check for breathing. Look and listen for signs of breath. Is the chest rising? Can you hear breath sounds? If there's no sign of breath after 10 seconds, it's time to start chest compressions. Begin chest compressions by placing the heel of your hand in the center of the person's chest. Put your other hand on top, interlocking your fingers. Use your body weight to compress the chest at least 2 inches deep at a rate of about 100 to 120 compressions per minute. That's almost 2 compressions per second. It's a fast pace, but it's necessary to keep blood circulating. After 30 chest compressions, give 2 rescue breaths. To do this, pinch the person's nose shut, take a normal breath, cover their mouth with yours, and exhale into their mouth. Look for the chest to rise. If it does, give a second breath. If it doesn't, reposition the head and try again. Then, continue with sets of 30 compressions and 2 breaths until help arrives or the person starts to show signs of life, like breathing on their own or moving. Remember, these steps are critical and must be followed in sequence for the CPR to be effective. Now that we've gone through the steps, it's time to demonstrate how to perform CPR. Let's start with the first step: checking for responsiveness. It's crucial to shake the person gently and ask loudly if they're okay. This can mean the difference between life and death. If the person does not respond, it's time to call for help and start CPR. Now onto the second step, which is to open the airway. You do this by tilting the head back and lifting the chin. This step is vital because it clears the airway and allows us to check for breathing. Remember, if they aren't breathing or if their breathing is irregular, it's time to start chest compressions. Next, we move on to chest compressions. Place your hands one over the other in the center of the chest and push hard and fast. You're aiming for at least 100 to 120 compressions per minute. This step is critical as it helps to pump the heart and circulate blood, keeping vital organs alive. After 30 compressions, it's time for rescue breaths. Pinch the person's nose closed, take a deep breath and give 2 rescue breaths, making sure the chest rises with each breath. These breaths are essential as they provide much needed oxygen to the body. Now, this cycle of 30 compressions followed by 2 rescue breaths is repeated until help arrives or the person starts to show signs of life. It's important to maintain a steady rhythm and not to stop unless absolutely necessary. In all these steps, you need to make sure you're doing them correctly and efficiently. The right technique can significantly increase the chances of survival. Remember, every second counts when it comes to CPR. It's also worth noting that if you're uncomfortable or unable to perform the rescue breaths, you can do hands-only CPR, which involves giving chest compressions continuously at a rate of 100 to 120 per minute. As you can see, performing CPR is a methodical process that requires precision and attention to detail. Even with the best intentions, mistakes can happen during CPR. It's crucial to avoid these pitfalls for the procedure to be effective. One of the most common errors is applying pressure to the stomach instead of the chest during chest compressions. This can lead to unnecessary injury. To prevent this, ensure your hands are placed in the center of the chest, directly above the sternum. Another frequent mistake is delivering compressions that are too shallow or too slow. The ideal rate is at least 2 compressions per second, and the depth should be about 2 inches for adults. Remember too that it's essential to allow the chest to rise fully between compressions. Forgetting to call for help is another oversight that can have dire consequences. Before starting CPR, make sure you or someone else has dialed for emergency assistance. Finally, losing your cool can hinder the process. Stay calm, breathe, and remember your training. Avoiding these common mistakes can mean the difference between life and death. Performing CPR is a responsibility we should all be prepared for. We've journeyed through an enlightening exploration of this life-saving procedure, highlighting the pivotal aspects that can make the difference between life and death. We started by understanding the crucial importance of CPR, a procedure that anyone can learn and perform, potentially becoming a hero in a critical situation. We then delved into the ABCs of CPR, airway, breathing, and circulation, the 3 pillars that guide us through the process. We walked through the steps of performing CPR, breaking it down into manageable chunks that can be easily remembered and executed. We also demonstrated these steps, showing how they seamlessly blend into a rhythm that can sustain life. Additionally, we tackled common mistakes that are often made while performing CPR and how to steer clear of them, ensuring that our attempts at resuscitation are as effective as possible. Remember, your actions could save a life, so stay prepared and stay informed.